All right, so this is Green Lantern. This is another bad movie review. I just randomly thought to do it because it's on HBO Max. I was like, okay, I got HBO Max. Why not? It's directed by Martin Campbell. It is definitely one of those movies, those superhero movies that's just kind of thrown out there. It kind of reminded me of that first Ghost Rider with some of the beats in it. It is just really, really not good. Right, the writing is atrocious, especially the dialogue. But let's get to it. So it starts off with an exposition dump about the Guardians, the Green Lanterns, and things like that. The Guardians, they use the energy of willpower, the Emerald energy, to imbue these rings with these powers. It's based on your willpower. You can create anything with it, and they give it to their Green Lanterns, all these different species from different places, and they have different sectors that they protect. They're like space cops. And there was a villain, Parallax, who uses the fear energy, which is the opposite of willpower, and it's a lot more destructive and things like that, and it can corrupt people. And Abin the most powerful or the best Green Lantern, defeated him and trapped him on this planet or whatever. And he's gotten free, so now he's wreaking havoc. And he actually goes after Abin for revenge, and mortally wounds him. But Abin is able to get away, and then he'll eventually be on Earth to give the ring to Hal Jordan. So we then meet Hal Jordan, and Hal Jordan is an archetype, right? He wakes up with some random chick. You never see her again. He's driving real crazy through traffic. He's already late for work. So he's that kind of character, and so he gets to work, and his I guess old fling or old girlfriend or whatever, but also his kind of boss, but then also his wingman, pilot, is there to get onto him for being late and things like that. It's kind of weird their whole work slash relationship thing. So they're going up in their planes to go up against these unmanned planes, these unmanned fighters, and they're gonna dogfight with them to test them out, right? So Hal just risks her life pretty much, uses her as bait, uses wingman for bait, so automatically that's bad. But then he goes straight up in the air, breaks the rules of engagement, and it messes up his plane and those planes. And as he's coming down, he takes them out. And he's kind of afraid because he's thinking back to his father's death, which is ridiculous. I mean, the kid runs up to the plane, it gets knocked away by the explosion. It's so stupid looking. It's bad. And they're setting up that he actually is fearful. They're setting up the laziest character arc they probably could have had with this character. Uh, so there's that, and he gets chewed out by Blake Lively and some other people. Blake Lively's, she keeps him from being fired, right? She grounds or whatever. It's like, why is she also up there with him then? If she's clearly running ship, shouldn't she be just, doing desk work or whatever? She shouldn't also be a pilot, I don't think, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Also, nepotism. That's kind of a theme here with her and Hector Hammond, with their fathers being successful and pushing forward their career. Definitely some nepotism going on. They're also talented, but that's also a factor. So uh, after that, I'm pretty sure that's when Hal finds the ring. Abin leaves, gives him the ring. He's not really freaking out that he's seeing an alien or whatever. It's like whatever. And then his friend, played by Taika Waititi, comes to pick him up. Then he goes to have drinks, I think. Yeah, with Blake Lively's character, Carol. I don't think I even said her name. And and they reconnect and things like that. He finally leaves the bar because she was talking about him being scared or whatever. And the other guys that were part of that program and part of that little test, they meet back up with him and they start whooping his ass as they should because he got them fired. They got fired. He got grounded. Whatever. They were beating him up. And I was like, well, I'm supposed to be rooting for the hero to be able to do some hero shit, especially now that he has the ring, which he does. He hits them with a punch. But I was like, he deserves to get his ass kicked a little bit, right? Like I don't feel bad for him. He got these people fired because he's an asshole. Whatever. He gets transported to Oa, which is the world that the Green Lanterns live on, and he goes through a training montage and things like that. Starts to learn more about the Green Lanterns and things, but he can't really fill those shoes of Abin Sur. It causes a rift between him and Sinestro, played by Mark Strong, who's easily the best part of this movie. And so he decides to go back to Earth. Then there's a party and some things happen in that party, and he immediately just uses the ring and saves the people. It's like, okay, well, clearly he's okay with maybe being a Green Lantern, at least to a certain extent. So that's not much of a story or a character arc, but whatever. He saves them. He turns the helicopter that's going crazy into a racetrack or whatever. I didn't even mention, so there's another villain, Hector Hammond, played by Peter Sarsgaard. He was the scientist that's doing a examination of Abinsur's body, and he gets infected by the fear stuff. So now he can read people's minds and kind of has telekinetic powers and stuff like that. He's gone crazy.
Physical contact accesses mnemonic data. I can see your memories.
Finally, he goes crazy enough to attack Amanda Waller, and here played by Angela Bassett. You know, she's popular in the DC comic books and things like that. Always kind of dealing with underlying things. She's in Suicide Squad and things like that. She puts that team together. Always up to some CD shit. So Green Lantern flies in to take care of it. They fight, things like that. I can't remember what happens after he gets away somehow or something. On Oa, they're trying to figure out what to do with Parallax because Parallax has taken out a lot of the Green Lanterns, and Sinestro wants to use the fear power to fight fear with fear. Obviously, Sinestro is going to eventually get a fear ring and become a villain, so they're setting that up. He eventually fights Hector Hammond again. Parallax is going to come to Earth to fight Hal because he got the ring from Abinsur, who originally defeated Parallax. So there's a vengeance there, and Hal defeats Hector Hammond again. Hector Hammond gets killed by Parallax. They fight for a little bit. He makes some constructs, punches them into the sun, and that's it. Really, there was a whole storyline of him being afraid and him trying to rouse the Guardians to take out Parallax with him and help protect Earth, but they didn't. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So positives, we'll start off with that first. I thought Ryan Reynolds was okay. Most the performances are pretty good, or at least okay for the shitty material. Other than Blake Lively, I think she's probably the worst. I just don't. I don't think she's a very good actress. I think she's the weakest of at least the main characters in this. I don't know. Peter Sarsgaard, he wasn't that great either, but he was given some of the worst material of the movie. But yeah, Blake Lively didn't quite work. Her and Ryan Reynolds definitely have chemistry for obvious reasons. I think they got married after this movie, right? I think they met on the set of this movie, so I guess that chemistry went somewhere. But yeah, she's not very good in this, and the dialogue ain't doing her any favors.
You forgot it was my birthday.
Did I? That was also the night, the first time that we ever flew together.
Well, you've been flying ever since with anyone who'll get in the plane.
I actually liked some of the constructs he was making, like some of the machine guns and things like that. The training segment where he's fighting with Kilowog, I think it was named Kilowog, and with Sinestro, especially the one with Sinestro, I really like that. They're using swords and things like that. Sinestro's fighting him with more like human type things, fighting him on his level and still showing him up. I like that. Like I said, Mark Strong, Sinestro, best character. I like that he's willing to do whatever it takes to defend Oa and to defeat Parallax, to the point where he will, suggest to use the fear stuff. Eventually, he will end up doing that himself and becoming a villain. So I like that as well. I like the way the creatures, the other aliens, the other Green Lanterns, I like the way they look. That was all right. I think that actually might be it. So the movie doesn't have much structure to it. It does feel like it's just scene. There's way too much going on and things like that. There are two moments where he fights Hector Hammond, and he just pops up. I don't know how he knew what was going on with Hector. He wasn't investigating it. He didn't hear about it from anybody or anything like that. Not that I know of. He just pops up, and they have their fight. It's like, okay, whatever. And Hector kills his father and things like that, and then just disappears or something. Anyway, like it does feel like it has poor pacing. There's not really much of a conflict until like an hour in, when Hector really starts to lose it. And Hector doesn't really have much development either. He kidnaps Blake Lively's character Carol, because he's always wanted her, and he's jealous of Hal, and that gets like one glance during that party, and that's it. It doesn't really have much development. I think they have one conversation at that party before this, so there's a lack of development here. Ryan Reynolds has that nephew early on, and that nephew never comes back, right? You think that kid's going to be important, like he's going to be like the daughter in Ant-Man, but no, you never see the kid again, right? Kid doesn't even have a picture here on IMDb, so that they might as well not even had that. He's arguing with whoever at that birthday party. You want to be like dad so much you want to die like him, and I was like, who the fuck are you? I guess that was his brother or his cousin or something. I don't know. It never says. So there's that. They got that weak ass character arc with Hal being afraid, which goes, really shouldn't even be there. It goes nowhere. Yeah, it feels thrown together, right? Poorly edited, thrown together. We need to hurry up and just get this out there. Hey, let's do this thing, this thing, this thing. And because of that, we don't have enough time to fully develop it, even though this movie is like, it's close to 2 hours and moving towards 2 hours. And it feels like a waste of that. The dialogue is terrible. It was making me laugh so much. There's a part early on where Hal and the other guy, it was right when he got in trouble for doing whatever he did in that plane. And the guy's like, watch your back, Hal. And he's like, that's impossible. It's like, what the fuck? I guess that was supposed to be a funny, snarky line or comeback. It wasn't at all. When Taika Waititi's character comes to pick him up, when he first gets the ring, he says, oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened. He just gave me this, and he holds up the ring. And Taika Waititi's like, he proposed? I was like, what the fuck is this dialogue? It's like that. Every joke it just completely falls flat. They don't even really commit to it. It's almost like they just did it like, I guess Hal's supposed to be kind of funny or something. I don't know. If I could just throw some comedy in there. Oh, it's so bad. It's really bad. Especially Hector Hammond has some bad stuff too. I mean, the dialogue is just consistently bad. That was the thing I was consistently laughing at in this.
Holy shit. Come to freaky
Freak!
Class dismissed.
I mean, even just the cinematography doesn't look that great. It's not shot all that well. It's too dark for a movie that's a little bit more colorful, right? You have the Green Lanterns and everything like that. For whatever reason, it's really dark. Almost like they really want to take this seriously, but then they have these shitty ass jokes in here. But anyway, yeah, it's really dark for no reason. And then the green screen doesn't look very good, which is like, okay, on OA, okay, limitations of the time and things like that. But there's points where they're just talking on roofs, like him and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, Hal and Carol, and that looks really, really unconvincing, right? Like it just bad. I mean, it's not to the level of something like The Room or something like that, but it's not good. No, any of the green screen involved. Really, just the constructs that he does, and that's it. That suit, I don't like the design, but also it looks really fake as well. And then also that the worst part of it is the mask, which has been joked on for years. It looks so bad, especially when he's like smiling with the mask on. It was so funny to me.
What is this? Why is your skin green? Why are you glowing? What the hell is with that mask?
Came with the outfit. Cool, huh?
It looks bad. A lot of this just isn't up to snuff, man. It wasn't very good. The lantern ring and the lantern the thing that the actual lantern, the thing that he carries around, those, man, that looks really cheap. Those are some really cheap looking props. Like the ring looks like something that like a kid would buy as a toy. Right, and the same thing goes with the lantern. Like, if they did have toys for this movie, I have to imagine it looked exactly like what it looks like in the movie, because it looks so cheap and bad. It's like, really, you couldn't do better than this? Whenever he would carry that lantern around, that specifically looked like a really bad prop, like a toy. It didn't look right. There's so many problems with this fucking thing, man. I mean, the writing, that stuff. But I think the main issue is obviously the writing because, like I said, it doesn't have much structure to it and things like that. Parallax comes in right at the end, and the whole thing. And Parallax decided, no, I'm not going to Oa. I was gonna go to Oa and take out all the Guardians and things like that, but no, I'm gonna I'm gonna leave that and stop doing that, and then go after Earth and Hal Jordan simply because he has the ring of the person that captured me initially. Even though I've already got my revenge on him and he's dead, I'm just gonna stop what I'm doing to go after Hal Jordan. Why? You know what I'm saying? None of the Green Lanterns decide to show up until the conflict is already over. Hal just makes a couple constructs, and then Hal makes a couple constructs, and then he just flies up into space and just punches them into the sun. It's like, okay, you have all these Green Lanterns. You guys could have done something like that. I mean, not only that, but even Abin Sur, all he did was trap him on a planet. You mean to tell me he couldn't have just put him into the sun or whatever after he defeated him? It's stupid. It's dumb, man. You have all these lanterns, and all they do in the whole movie is just stand around on that planet, on Oa. That's all they do. And chant. Like, after everything's done and they're congratulating Hal, they're chanting, woo! It's like, why didn't you guys come and do anything? You're just there. They're just there so we can see them. They don't do anything. Probably because of the limitations of the effects and all that, but the CG. But anyway, man, this movie is just stupid. It's written badly. It's ridiculous. The dialogue's terrible. The pacing is also really bad, and it just feels thrown together, almost like nobody's heart was really in it. Like, I'm seeing this, like, even with the actors and things like Ryan Reynolds, and I don't think anybody had faith in this. I'm watching them, and I'm like, nobody had faith in this. You guys did not think this was going to do well. Even just in the production, like, that's what it feels like. We're throwing this out there. Maybe it'll do well. Maybe it won't. It's not going to be very good though. But hopefully these nerds will come see it anyway. That's the whole time I was thinking that. I'm really struggling to remember things from the movie. I just rewatched. I've seen this movie at least 3 to 4 times. I feel bad about admitting that. But I'm struggling to remember things right now because the movie is just that uninteresting and bad. I mean, I don't know, man. It doesn't work. It does not work. They set up Sinestro to be the villain, right? It doesn't really make sense that he put on the ring at the end. I mean, in the end credit scene or mid credit, because Parallax is defeated at that point. I was thinking, well, you could have just had him go to get the ring at some point in the movie and just never show back up. And it's because after he put on the ring, he went crazy or something like that, right? And then so he will be the villain in the next one. But they didn't do that. So it's like, there are ways you could have fixed this, especially with Sinestro being the best part of the movie, and you didn't. But whatever. Because of the things I said that were good, like some of the construct things were cool, and I like Sinestro, and Ryan Reynolds did a good enough, gave a good enough performance that I will give it utter trash instead of my bottom rating, and it's just barely getting that. It's just barely not getting my bottom rating because this is garbage. This really is bad. And I was laughing the entire time. I actually did have fun watching it. But anyway, that's Green Lantern, and we're done.